The second poem we study today is called Mother to Son. So, as the title suggests, it's from a mother, that's the speaker, to a son. Now, a bit of important context when we think about Langston Hughes, obviously a black American poet writing in the Harlem Renaissance, right? It is important to consider the history and the larger history of America, a country that enslaved African people and African American people. And then even after slavery, 1861, the Emancipation Proclamation, we've still got, Jim Crow laws, we've still got deliberate attempts of violence, of marginalisation, redlining even way after that. So even in the 1920s, during the Harlem Renaissance, there's still loads of negativity, loads of racism, loads of marginalisation. But one thing that does occur as a means of legitimising white power and marginalising black people, pushing them down, is through stereotyping, right? Through creating culture and media, literature, even movies, like things like Birth of a Nation, whatever. Like there's movies and there's pamphlets that kind of vilify and make evil African American families, African American people. So some of the stereotypes at the time might be that, these people weren't working hard enough, they weren't contributing, or that there were broken families, that there was violence. And so this poem really makes an effort to challenge those stereotypes. Yes, they acknowledge the structures and these global issues of like inequality, particularly for people of colour, the struggles, the fact that they have to work hard. Of course, it acknowledges that, but one thing it also does is it challenges these really horrible stereotypes of like, laziness or violence or a lack of love in the family, broken homes, and it shows this love from a mother to son and this hard work. So it does all of that in addition to conveying positive themes and showing global issues. And I'll read the poem quickly. It says, "Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor bare. But all the time, I's been a climbing on and reachings, landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps 'cause you finds it kinda hard. Don't you fall now, for I still going, honey. I still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair." Now, one thing you might have picked up on is some of the grammar and syntax and some of the words, I still going on, or finds it kind of hard. So what we might say this is African American vernacular, African American dialect. And so we can actually sort of say that the poem is rooted in this realism and this African American culture. And we can sort of infer that, the speaker probably is black, especially given the context of the Harlem Renaissance, Langston Hughes and whatever. So we can maybe infer that the speaker is a black American, obviously a mother. We start off, we introduce the speaker as a mother, like from the title, speaking to the daughter. This is this interjection. It's kind of exhaustion, it's kind of tiredness, but it's also a declaration of authority, especially emphasised by "I'll tell you." And we get the person to whom she's speaking, obviously her son. It says, "Life ain't been no crystal stair." Obviously an easy metaphor. Crystal stairs, they're smooth. They're obviously luxurious, this metaphor, like a luxurious life with wealth and smoothness and, just a nice little life, obvious metaphor there. Her life instead has had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor bare. So this is all an extended metaphor of her life. It's a staircase. Think about a staircase climbing that social ladder. It's not been an easy climb. Her climb has had tacks in it, like little pins coming out and splinters and boards torn up. And what we've got here, places with no carpet, the coldness, the lack of comfort, what we've got here is a load of stuff. First of all, obviously, we've got sound techniques. We've got cacophonic sound, had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places, carpet, bare, all of these hard sounds which emphasise this hard life she's had to lead. In addition to that, we've got the polysyndeton in this context, which might add to the idea of just the difficulties she's had. Like there's many conjunctions, there's also been many difficulties, excessive tribulations and trials, just like there's excessive conjunctions. And then in addition to that, we've got, obviously in a metaphor, it's been a difficult journey. Her walk up the stairs, her climbing this social staircase has been painful, and we know that again through painful imagery. Think about walking on tacks, splinters, boards torn out. It's been ugly, it's been painful, and that evokes this kind of sorrowful, painful feeling, right? The atmosphere here is quite somber. It's quite It's not comfortable. It evokes feelings of discomfort. Her tone is fairly matter of fact. She's just telling it like it is. She's not, mega complaining. She's just trying to say, like, life for me has been difficult. This is what I've had to deal with. And then she finishes with this last part of the extended metaphor. Singular phrase, bare, breaks the rhythm. There's a bareness to the line. It's an empty line, a single word, just like her life might be empty. It's isolated, it's empty. The sound, again, is quite jarring. Her life's been difficult. And then again, think of the imagery of it being empty and in against this isolation. But then we get a change in tone, and we'll have another one down here as well. But all the time, I's been climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark when there ain't been no light. So she's never stopped. She's been climbing on. We've got this change in tone that introduced by the but. She could have used however. Could have been although. She didn't even need a conjunction at all. But we start off with but, the strong sound, all the time. The conjunction changes the tone. The strong sound changes the tone. I's been climbing on. Climbing on. The rhythmic meter created out of that extra syllable there, and reaching landings. Landings like the top of a staircase, the top of a floor. Basically, it is a floor. So she reaches new floors and turning corners. Things keep happening and she keeps having to go different ways, but she gets there. So again, it's quite motivational. We have a much more optimistic atmosphere and mood here. And again, we got more polysyndeton to emphasise the extent by which she's making these climbs, by how much effort she's putting in, just as there's extra conjunctions. And sometimes she's in the dark. Sometimes it's been empty. It's been scary. It's been the unknown. There's been no hope, there's been no light. Obviously, light often signifies hope because it helps us guide the way and whatever. She's had no safety net, no help, no hope, and she's still managed to get through. Sometimes it's been, not always, sometimes it's been, but so boy. And here we have our Volta again, our last call, our turning point of the poem where she speaks to her son again. So boy, don't you turn back. We've got anaphoric don'ts here. Don't you turn back. Don't you set down on the stakes. Don't you fall now. Right, the anaphoric lives, the very nature of the anaphoric, like don't, will not give up, just like she's telling her son not to give up. Again, we've got the imperatives here, the fact that she's giving orders, which kind of makes her sound strong. Don't turn back, don't you set down on the steps again, this larger extended metaphor of like accepting your position in life, keep on pushing, because you find it kind of hard, so don't, just because life is hard, keep going, for I still going, honey. We've got the metaphor of calling him honey. There's love there. So there's love, there's hard work, there's a really good familial bond. And again, all of this stuff helps to challenge these stereotypes. We've also got such a hopeful, optimistic atmosphere, conveying themes of like hard work in even despite inequality, whatever. And then of course we've got the global issue, especially here, the fact that these people have had to endure inequalities. And then I still climbing. She's still going. It's not finished. And we know that because the last line is the same as the second line. And this creates a kind of cyclical pattern to it. So it tells us that it's a cycle that keeps going. So there you go. That was Langston Hughes, Mother to Son. I hope you got something out of that. And don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that bell button. Nice one.